Hey guys, and welcome to another Age of Empires 2 video. Today I played my first ever ranked 1 versus 1 Nomad game, and I wanted to commentate on the replay and just talk about some of the differences between playing Nomad team games and how that sort of differentiates to 1 versus 1. And I wanted to talk about the strategy in the game as well. So I've played probably about 150, maybe slightly more Nomad team games. So I'm quite well versed in playing Nomad team games, and it is my favorite map. But I've never played it in 1 versus 1. I have seen plenty of tournament games in Nomad 1 versus 1, particularly in the recent Warlords 2 tournament, and the ranked map currently is pretty similar to the Warlords version. I think they had always like a larger sort of lake in their map script, but this one here, it looks pretty similar to the one that they had. And one of the key features of Nomad 1 versus 1, which is a bit different to team game, is in 1 versus 1 there are always 6 golds and 6 stones. So 6 gold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stones as well. And I think it's not something that really mattered in this game, but it's something to keep in mind if you're playing Nomad 1 versus 1, because knowing the amount of gold and stone on the map and being mindful of trying to find where all of those mineral resource deposits are can be very helpful for map control throughout the mid game. Alright, so I am using Capture Age for this replay. The reason is because I've subscribed to Capture Age Pro, and that gives me the ability to rewind if I miss something or want to go back and talk about a specific thing. And it's also handy to look at some statistics and whatnot in Capture Age as well. Alright, so I'm going to press play, and I'm going to change the fog of war to my view. So my villagers kind of spawned in a line, and I'm currently looking for a good TC spot. This villager spawned near the shore, so I'm going to use this villager to make a dock. And my villager that spawned here has found a close gold next to a wood line, which seems like a pretty good spot. So I'm chucking down my town center there, and my enemy has TC'd pretty much exactly where my first villager spawned. And one of the most important things, I think, is the fact that I'd scouted this stone before, basically when my villager spawned. So I know that stone is there, and I think that's an important thing to keep note of later on. Alright, so I'm building my town center with 2 villagers, and my dock villager has already completed the dock and is working away on the shorefish. Now you can see a bit of a differentiation here between the starts. So my opponent, this is just a little 1% thing, but I prefer to build my house with a TC villager. So you can see that I've pre-queued up a house here, and my opponent is going for this is probably the most well-known way to play Nomad, is you build the town center with 2 villagers, and then you build a dock, then a house, and then have that villager go to shorefish. Now, I have elected not to do that. The reason why I don't do this anymore, unless I'm playing with something like Mayans or maybe Persians, is that this allows my dock villager to start collecting shorefish earlier. Now, as you can see, this villager here is still building the house. The house is almost completed, but my dock villager has already collected 9 food. So it's giving me, basically, my dock villager is going to work earlier, and that's allowing me to get a bit of extra food in, and the reason why that's good is because that little bit of earlier extra food can actually help you delay loom when you're building villages from your TC, because you start with 200 food. That gives you enough resources to build 4 villages, and then you have to get loom unless you can get food under your town center or collect 50 food in that time. And having the dock villager start working on the shorefish earlier helps you build up that extra food to squeeze out a few more villages. The caveat is it slows down your wood collection, because the villager building the TC has to build the house first. That takes, I think, 25 seconds. Then they have to walk over and start collecting wood. So your first fishing ship will come out a little bit slower, but it will give you a little bit more of a buffer zone to be able to delay loom. And I think, I prefer this way of playing, and I think it's smoother. So I generally find that, particularly with this ball location here, I can delay loom longer. So I'm going to unpause the replay. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit until the town center's up. So here I started with a cow, and I'm scouting around, and it doesn't look like my opponent has found a cow, so that's a bit of bad luck. So what I usually do with my cow is I scout in a circular area sort of around my line of sight to try and find extra food. That's the most important thing that I want to find. So I've queued up 4 more villagers. I've got 1 villager straight onto wood, and then I'm building my first house, and then I've shift queued this villager onto the tree. So if you look at the resources collected tab, I'm about 10 food ahead of my opponent, up to about 20 food. So this is the reason why I do this start, because it just gives you a little bit of extra, a bit of a lead in terms of being able to collect the food, and generally I found this reduces my TC idle time in Dark Age. So my build in Nomad is always the first 4 villages go to wood from the TC, and then immediately, once I've got 75 wood, I send a villager out to bring a boar in if I can see one. So here I'm actually bringing it in just a little bit earlier, and I'm a bit late to do the fishing ship just because I'm focusing on getting the villagers on the boar, and I'm going to be queuing that up now. So you can see that my opponent already has queued up the fishing ship, and he hasn't had any issues with idle TC at the moment either. Salve. And he hasn't had to get loom as well. So he's been fine with the amount of food collected, probably because his town centre was up rather quickly as well. So neither of us have had to get loom at this stage. So there hasn't actually ended up being a difference in our approaches so far, and the resource collection is about the same at this point in the game. I think mine will probably end up going a bit higher, as you can see, 270, probably because I've got a boar under my town centre. My opponent is a little bit late to bring in the boar, and he's already got 23 seconds of idle time, whereas I don't have any at this stage, only 4 seconds. So once I've got 4 to 5 villagers working on the boar, that plus the villager on shorefish and I guess the fishing ships is enough to keep my town centre running. So now I've had to get loom because I was a little bit late building one of my houses, or possibly to drop off the food under the TC. So now I want to try and get 6 on wood, and that is enough for constant fishing ship and house production in Dark Age. And you will usually go more than 6 villagers on wood because you need to collect wood to build your second building, which might be a mill, it could be a gold mine, could be a lumber camp, etc. So I'm sending this villager over here to collect this cow and build a house. Picking up this cow will give me a little bit of extra scouting, and I'm just going to go around and circle around my currently explored area already. And as you can see, my opponent's idle TC's already got about two villagers idle. Some of that is probably just, I'm not sure if it's getting housed or forgetting to force drop the food under the TC, but my discipline on collecting resources has been a bit better. And I haven't had really any other close food near my TC, so I've had to go and bring this. I've queued all my villagers onto woods, and so I can go for a few more fishing ships, and I'm bringing in this boar from quite a long distance. I'm using the cow to block the boar so it doesn't damage the villager as much. And then I'm going to shoot that boar with the villagers on the TC, and then ungarrison. So if we look at the population count at the moment, I'm 2 villages ahead of my opponent, but I'm 1 fishing ship down, and so resources collected is pretty even. I think he's probably keeping up with me because of the extra fishing ships, but I'm about 30 to 40 food ahead of him generally. But it's still pretty similar. So, I think that's mostly because I was a bit slow with my initial fishing ship, and he's catching me up there. So at the moment, I'm just going to quickly pause the game. I found 2 boars. I can see another one over here. And then I think I can see another boar somewhere as well. No, not at this stage. So I'm on to boar number 3. Yeah, and I'm building the mill as my first building. And I did note that the mill was a bit forward, and I have put an outpost in front of the mill because I did see Red have a villager running around here. So I had the suspicion that his town centre might be close. And I don't actually know about him collecting the food from the deer over there. So he's actually taken over a little bit in resource collection, but as I've completed that boar, I've taken him over, and I've actually screwed up the luring of this boar because the villager went a little bit too far out of the line of sight, and it's actually gone back. So my dock villager has finished up on the shorefish, and I'm sending him over here. I think I can see that boar, and I'm going to build a second dock over there. I'm just sending a villager back to get that boar, and I'm going to have to take one of my cows at the moment. Still only 4 seconds of idle TC, And I'm a little bit ahead in the villager, in resources collected as well, but it's pretty close. And then my opponent has a 2 fishing ship lead over me as well. I think I was a little bit lax at my fishing ship production here. Currently I'm floating 100 wood. Probably should have queued up another one, but I've gone for the lumber camp instead. I'm taking my 3rd boar now. So ideally, I've managed to click up at 21 villages, which is a pretty good time. And barely any idle TC. My opponent is up to 1 minute 50 idle TC. I think that's because if I'm just going to have a look, I'm going to try and go to his point of view. Shift right click.
Salve.
Hang on a second.
Impero.
Is it control right click?
Salve.
There we go. Okay, so we look at his scouting. I think he hasn't scouted as much of the map as me. So one of the things on Nomad is there is always food on the edge of the map. So if we just go back to my point of view, you can see that I've scouted a lot of the shoreline here, and then I think 2 of the boars that I found, I can see one there. I found a boar over here. If we go back to my opponent, he actually hasn't scouted much of the shore. So he is missing this boar and also this one. So that's like a little tip is if you're looking for food and you're close to the edge of the map, scout the shoreline, because there is always deer and boars and berries and whatnot along the edge of the shore. All right, so I am up about 40 seconds ahead of my opponent, and at this stage, I don't think I know that his village is here, which is idle for some reason. You see, he's possibly waiting for wood to build a 2nd dock. So I'm just going to unpause the replay again. So I've got my villager over here bringing in food from that shorefish, and I'm not sure if I'd actually seen that villager yet, but I'm going to spot it when my villager runs back there. And now I've got to try and find a new deep fish. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about next is balancing your resources. So at the moment, I've got 200 wood. Now what am I going to do with that wood? So I failed my boar lure a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is build an extra dock. But when I build that dock, I'm not going to have enough wood to make the prerequisite buildings to go to castle age. So that's like blacksmith, market, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to research double bit axe. And with Vietnamese, double bit axe only costs food, and then that means that I save 50 wood when I research it compared to my opponent, and that'll just help me collect the wood a little bit faster to get in the wood to be able to get the buildings to go up to castle age. So I stopped at 5 fishing ships. I think this was probably maybe 1 or 2 short of what I wanted, and I tried to do a quick wall here on that villager after attacking it and failed it, and that villager's gone away. I'm not too worried about where that village is going at this stage, but it's probably something I should have paid attention to, because little do I know, this villager is circling around behind my dock. And I actually do see the villager here, but I'm not paying attention to it. I'm focusing on my economy. So I've just clicked up. Now I'm sort of thinking about what to do. Now my outpost has actually spotted that my opponent has built a barracks, so I'm building a reactive barracks as a result, because my concern is, if he's going an early barracks, he could be going an archery range or something like that. So he's just gone to feudal age. And this is one of the things that I really like to do on Nomad in team games as well as 1v1 is, because I saw that the opponent's villagers in this area, I built an outpost there just to give me some vision. And that vision has helped me sort of spot that barracks, and that is basically warning me that my opponent might be trying some feudal land pressure. One thing I don't know, because I didn't see it, is that my opponent is building a forward dock on me over here, and I have absolutely no idea about it. I'm also trying to bring in a boar from over here, but I think I was a little bit focused on what was happening on this area of the map. So if I unpause, I've actually forgotten about this villager. However, I do notice, and I use a neat little trick. I build a palisade on top of the boar, and that stops the boar from being able to attack my villager, and I'm able to send that villager back to safety. And I'll be going to collect that boar again later. I didn't actually realize when I was playing the game that I could see that dock. I hadn't actually noticed that at all, so I was very focused on the front, because I could see this archery range going up, And as you can see, my opponent is queuing up archers. So I've reactively built a tower, and I have villagers long distance collecting stone because I want to possibly, if he's going full archer rush, I'm going to need to protect my economy so I can get up to castle age. But because I'd already built a tower, I don't have enough stone for a second one. I need 125 stone to build another tower, but I just don't have the wood for a mining camp to put on the stone. Now I've collected the amount of wood, but I'm sort of, so here's the conundrum at the moment. So I'm getting archer rushed. I don't know about this fire ship thing yet, but I've got about 500 food and I've got about 200 gold. Now I have to make a decision. What am I going to do? So the one thing is, like, if my opponent is investing into archers, that means his castle time is going to be slower than mine. Because I'd been focusing quite heavily on collecting food, particularly with bringing in extra boars and also with my fishing. I've got a mill over here just with one villager on it, but I've been pretty efficient with my food collection. So I think in this instance, I built a tower. The best thing that I can do is just try and get an earlier castle age time and just try and defend against the archers. Because at this stage in the game, I've got a feeling that my opponent is going to have a longer feudal age than me, just because of the fact that he's invested into both of these buildings, and I get more of a sense of that later when I discover the water situation. So I'm going for a market as well, just in case I need to buy some food, and I've already got my blacksmith up. So instead of going for the mine on the stone, I elected to go for the market first, because if I have to, I can buy some stone. So in this case, it's only one archer. The archer doesn't have fletching, so I'm just going to attack it with the villager. And then I had actually built fire ships, and I looked over here and I didn't see any fish. So I was like, oh, he's run his fish. But I haven't noticed that there's a fire ship right on my fish. I have no idea about that. The reason why I didn't have any idea about it is because the attack notification from the fire ship came exactly the same time as the archer. So those two events kind of doubled up, and I only noticed this one. So I have no idea that I'm losing my fish at the moment. So now it's two archers. Building a house, still only got 7 seconds of idle TC. I'm 400 resources ahead in resource collection, and my opponent has about 2 minutes of idle TC, and he's nowhere near going up to castle age. So now I'm building an archery range, because I can just build a couple of skirmishes to deal with any future archers that are going to be coming my way, and then I should be okay. I'm still about 150 food off castle age, but between these two cows, that should be enough food to get me up. And I'm just focusing as many villages as I can on collecting from those cows. And if I have to, I can use the market to click up. So I'm doing okay at this stage. So I think I've got 2 fire ships on that dock. My opponent has built 2 fire ships. He's Byzantine, so he's going to win the fire ship war. I hadn't actually noticed that this was happening, but I did notice that my fish are all dead, and then he had 2 fire ships here. So this was another thing that, so because of the fact that he'd invested into the second dock over here and the fire ships, this means that he's invested a lot of gold and wood into the navy at the moment. So I had a feeling that he would be in feudal age longer than me, particularly because he built the barracks and the archery range. He has the 2 docks, and he's got more fire ships than me. So that means he's invested more resources into water, and that means that I've got a very good feeling that I'm going to have an earlier castle age time than him. And so what I've elected to do is, I know his TC's there, so I think I'm going to go for a castle drop. So I'm going to build a mining camp here and send a lot of villagers to stone to try and get some stone for a castle. Now, one of the things that I've noticed that my opponent has done, his resource collection is a bit out of whack. So he has already collected 681 stone, but he's not, like, there's no reason why he should have done that unless he was going to tower rush me. And I actually think he should have tower rushed me, because if he put 2 towers, like a tower on my wood line and a tower here, that would have slowed my castle age down, and it also would have given him some map control. However, I would have contested those towers with my own towers, but also probably attacked him with villages and with skirmishes, etc., etc. So one of the other things I did was I walled up this side of my base, just so that archers couldn't be walking around and disrupting my ability to take gold or anything like that. now I'm making the stone mine. I'm also building a second outpost over here, because I know that there's an archery range there, just in case the archers start circling around this side and disrupting my stone. Because I can tower my stone if I want, but I think the outpost will give me enough time to be able to put up a tower if I need to, and if I don't have to build one, that's good. So I've killed his archer over here, and I've got a skirmisher. I also made a spearman just because it's a cheap unit that I was able to get some hits on his archer with, and he didn't micro his archer at all, and it ended up running into my TC. And so now I've got quite low resources. I've got 16 villages on stone. That's going to ensure that I have enough stone for a castle as I go up. But I lost all my fish. I've got 2 fishing ships working over here. I've still got my dock villager on shorefish. I just ended up building a second dock. So I've got a little bit of food income, but not much. So what I've done is I've thrown up 4 Dark Age farms without horse collar. It didn't make sense to invest in horse collar at this stage because I wasn't able to afford it because I'm quite low on food. So I just need some food in, so I've thrown up some farms. And with those farms, and I guess at this stage, the villager on the dock, that's going to be enough food to start me off in Castle Age. I'm surprised that those fire ships didn't auto attack my dock there. That's interesting. So now I've got enough stone for a castle, and I'm in Castle Age. I sent a skirmisher forward, and that's my opponent's actually decided to build a tower on his gold to protect his gold, and he should probably have full vision of me coming through here, so he could see what I'm doing. I'm going to put a castle. I can't put it there because of the tower, but I knew that his TC was here, and I put the castle here. So that is going to just range the edge of his town centre. I'm going to build a house there to block in case he tries to bull rush me down. And I put another skirmisher as well, just in case he's going to try and pop some archers out of the archery range. And now he's on his way up to Castle Age, but I have a several minute advantage because I prioritise food collection. And I've also brought in this boar from over here, and I've got villagers working on that at the moment. I'm trying to select my town centre. There we go. All right, so my castle's up. Now, he's about halfway up to Castle Edge, and I'm forcing him to sort of bail from the wood line a little bit and build a lumber camp there. I built a cavalry archer from my archery range, and I'm also just queuing up rattan archers as well. Because I had actually spotted these villagers with my outpost line of sight running this way. I think I saw them just in the edge of the outpost line of sight, and I've seen that he sent these villagers over there. I think he was possibly going over to this gold because I have denied his gold with my castle. So with the military units that I've sent over there, I found 1 villager. However, I know that I saw there was quite a few villagers going over there. So he's ended up finding some gold over here. I have no idea why he went this way. It just didn't make any sense. So anyway, I'm looking for him with my skirmishers, and he's building a mill over here. And then I found the mill with the skirmishers, but I haven't actually noticed it yet. And I've gotten in bow saw. I only got 12 seconds of idle TC. With the farms that I've made under the TC, I've got just enough food to keep myself going, and I also bought in that extra ball for some extra food. I've got horse collar, I've gotten in bow saw, I've got fletching, and I've found that he's got 6 villagers over here trying to run away from a couple of skirmishers. I have no idea why he didn't just attack them with his villagers. I've got a rattan archer and a cavalry archer just sitting on the back of his wood line, just trying to deny his ability to take wood. I'm queuing up some extra rattan archers at the moment. I've got an in stone mining upgrade as well, because I might need to go for some towers or an extra castle. He's run his villagers around to try and kill my skirmishers with some fire ships, going up for an extra TC. And I've just killed a few villagers on his wood line. And I can see his villagers over here, so I'm going to send my rattan archers over there to get those villager kills. He's still ahead. He's about 200 points ahead of me in score, but I've managed to stabilise because I was a bit concerned that he took me off fish, but I've managed to get to Castle Age, get some upgrades in because they don't cost any wood with Vietnamese, so it's really easy to afford your upgrades. And now he's got all of these idle villages here. He's also skyrocketing in idle TC. As you can see, he's got fishing ships and he's redocked over here, but he hasn't had much food. I think because he's had to actually move a villager over here to make the docks and move his fishing ships all the way around. He hasn't been able to invest in any farms, and he hasn't been able to safely take the hunt resources on the map because I was earlier to Castle Age and I've got earlier military out on the field, and I was little bit worried because he got a castle up that he was going to invest in some cataphracts. His castle is also fully garrisoned with villagers. I think he's possibly trying to maybe shoot down my castle, or this just could be complete panic because he was trying to hide from the castle, like my castle's ability to hit him, because I can hit his villagers from taking stone. I think maybe he's trying to afford, because he's 2 tiles away, so he won't be able to hit my castle until he researches Bodkin Arrow. So I have a feeling that he's panicking at the moment. So now I'm following his villagers over here with my Rattan Archers, and I know that if I'm going to be able to get these villager kills at some point, and that's going to give me a nice little lead. And I've just overtaken my opponent in score at the moment now. I've got about 1,000 more resources collected. He's trying to run his villagers to the safety of the fire ships, but the Rattan Archers, I've got fletching on them. I'm just able to range them without getting hit by the fire ships for the most part. I'm just doing a bit of trying to micro them down. Don't have ballistics, obviously. And then for some reason, they were in a pretty good spot there, but he's trying to micro them pretty much back into my archer fire. I've also got a cavalry archer sitting on his gold over here. Still got that unit sitting there. And I've got a cavalry archer on that gold as well over there. And then after killing the villagers over here, my opponent resigns. So I think my opponent did a really good job with his dock villager, being able to sneak around behind my dock, and the double-pronged attack with the distraction archers allowed him to get some fire ships out and kill my fish without me noticing. However, my resource balance in Feudal Age was much better, and I had a lot more food collected despite having less fishing ships, because I focused on getting in the boars to my TC, and he didn't get any eco upgrades either as well. Also got in double bit axe to be able to afford to get my buildings as well. And then I just had the advantage because I got to Castle Age quicker. I easily defended against his minimal land pressure, and that outpost gave me the vision of his buildings there, which gave me the warning. I was able to get a barracks up, I was able to get a range up, I was able to get a tower up. That probably meant that he stopped producing archers on land. I didn't get surprised by that. I did get surprised by the water, but I think the outpost was the MVP here that really helped me choose the correct strategy to not get too thrown off in Feudal Age. I think I had a pretty messy Feudal Age, but I got there eventually, and then my Castle Age play with the castle drop and the resource control was quite strong. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing some more games on Nomad, and if we take a look at the statistics, I'm just going to have a look at this. So idle economy, my idle economy is quite low, and I had about 10% more gathering economy than and a bit more worker efficiency as well. And then if we look at the APM, my APM's not very high, 47, but his was a bit lower, 37. All right, that'll be all for this one. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you look forward to the next video.